Hey guys, I'm Alana from Win Win and One Job, and welcome to this month's One Job special, I guess, where I've actually got a special guest with me. This one is called Tame the Taxman. And if you're watching it right now, this is the information. When I first started working in the mining industry, all those years ago in 2001, I wish I would have known to get up and set yourself up properly so that you're not stuck in the mining industry forever, and so that you can like minimize your tax and also potentially use it to invest in property is what I think is one of the most amazing things. To find out all this information for you guys, I've actually gone out and sourced a somebody who's a specialist in this. So I'm pleased to introduce to you my guest today. His name is Jesse Gardner. He has been working in the real estate industry for about 20 odd years. He is the CEO of Property Investment for Miners, and he is a senior property investor. Is that correct? Did I get that last part right, Jesse?
Senior property investment advisor, but I'm also
Advisor.
senior property investor as well.
Yeah. So Jesse basically specializes in exactly that, helping people, especially who are in the mining industry, to minimize their tax and also help them to set themselves up to invest in property. And yeah, Jesse, welcome today. Thank you so much for having a chat with my members and anyone who might be watching this at the moment. Let's go, Jesse. What have you got for us today? How can you help our people?
What a warm welcome. Thank you so much. It's great to be here. As you know, I've done up a presentation. I'll take your team through it right now. So just let me just share my screen. So guys, we can think of this as a bit of a video training session. What I want for you is for you to know how to do this process yourself. So that's what this is about. But a quick introduction. As Alana said, my name is Jesse Gardner. I'm the founder of Property Investment for Miners. In the video, I want to show you guys how someone working in the mining industry can take control of tax and design a financial future through property investment. So at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a special offer. I know many of you will want to know about it, so stick around. Promise it'll be worth your while and that you'll learn a lot as we go through the training as well. So guys, ground rules. I know there are distractions all around us. The stuff I'm going to share with you can change your life. I see it time and time again. I don't want you to miss a single step. So please stay focused, shut off Facebook, turn off Alana on TikTok, stop checking your email, and give me your complete attention. I promise it'll be worth it.
100%. I can vouch for this after seeing what Jesse's been doing, and you know, me working in the mining industry. This is like I said, this is the information that people want to know. And even if you're just about to or contemplating getting into the mining industry, now is the right time to set yourself up. So sorry, Jesse, take it from there. I'll shut up.
No, chime in. Let's be interactive about it. Guys, so straight away, who this is for. This is for somebody who wants to stop paying for 4 bludgers out of their hard-earned tax money. So tax is the number one issue for my mining clients. If you want to divert some of this cash back into your own home, back into your own investments, this is for you.
I can vouch for that.
And this is for someone who doesn't want to spend the next 20 years working their ass off just to become another FIFO divorce statistic and hand over half of their cash to their ex's new partner. Look, this is something I see far too often, to be punished even further with child support by running a high income. It is real, and it's not just tongue-in-cheek. It's something that we see that is a big problem.
Fortunately.
This is for young people that don't want to be the 63-year-old guy at the wedding who's done nothing to show for it, who's got nothing after 35 years in FIFO. So I speak to the two extremes, guys in their 20s who are all pumped up and doing big things, and also older guys who are reaching out to me a little bit too late in the process. So you young guys, take note. The sooner you sort this stuff out, the better off you'll be. If you want to plan to get out of FIFO over time, you can probably do this in about 10 years if you use your income wisely. And if you're interested in that, then this is for you.
Right. Where were you those 20-something years ago when I needed you, Jesse?
Well, yeah, you wonder what you'd be doing today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might be doing this actually.
you'd probably still be doing the same thing. No,
Probably, yeah. Just I would have gotten out of it faster.
yeah, for sure. So this is for someone who wants to be smart with the high income that they get from mining so they can retire early, buy jet skis and land cruisers and go to Bali, do all that good stuff guilt-free, without having to go back to work and replace it. This is for people who want to do that out of passive income and profit, so they don't have that stress and that constant hamster wheel of spend, earn, spend, earn.
So basically, turn your money into an employee who goes out and doubles and triples for you.
I love it how you put it like that. To turn your cash into little employees that go off and gather and bring back. It's a really good analogy.
Thanks. I got that from Robert Kiyosaki.
Oh, did you? Cool.
Yeah.
He's a good man too.
100%.
So who this is not for, equally as important. This is not for people that don't have a decent income. So banks need to know they're going to get their cash. Unfortunately, you need to have a half decent income. The good news, if you're in the mining industry, it pretty much guarantees that you're going to be earning enough to invest in property. So unless of course, you've got like 13,000 jet skis and 18 land cruisers and all on personal loans, and in which case you probably need to sell off a heap of stuff before they'll talk to you. Generally, most people need an income of 80 plus for a single or 120 plus for a couple.
I think you'll agree as well, Jesse, like I did mention earlier, even if somebody is just contemplating getting into the mining industry, now's the time to set yourself up. And if you do need help getting into the mining industry, you're probably watching this through the membership. If not, you're watching this through the channel or Facebook or whatever. And that's where we can come in to help you to set yourself up so that you can be earning this to escape the mining industry faster than the average person.
100%. A lot of people I talk to are dealing with win-win, Alana, are trying to get into the mining industry. So a lot of them are about to have their income peak, and that's why they're reaching out to me at the moment, going, right, how do I get set up and what do I need to do? So we always welcome discussion.
Definitely.
Who this is not for. If you don't have any cash, you probably can't invest. You need income and cash. So most need around 100K, and that's being quite generous. You can do it for a lot less, but if you really want to make a meaningful impact, let's round it up to 100K or 150K equity. If you've got your own home, that puts you in a really strong position to expand portfolio.
Yeah, and if you need a higher paying job, that's where we come in.
Yes, 100%. And yeah, it's the last week or so, everyone's saying that they're dealing with win-win, Alana.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
well,
we're
cool.
an international company, Jeffy. Come on.
Yeah, well done. Who this is not for, people that have ruined their credit report. So people that load up on shit they don't need and miss the repayments and just show really poor money management habits. This can be fixed over time. So don't, this isn't the start of the end, but at the very least, you really need to get up to date on everything, all of your repayments on things, because if the banks look at your credit file and they see dodgy stuff going on in there, they're going to ask difficult questions, and it's just going to be harder for you to get good finance at a good interest rate.
100%.
It is not for people that have too much credit and just spend too much cash. So obviously, another thing Robert Kiyosaki taught you, Alana, is that you spend less than what you earn and you invest the rest. It's not rocket science, but unfortunately, a lot of people don't take the time to sit there and do the numbers and work out how they can do it for themselves.
Definitely, especially when you go out to the mines for the first time and you're just like earning all this extra money and just like, oh, sweet, I can come back and party and blow it all. You've got to come to that level where you finally go, okay, let me like get my stuff together so I can set myself up. So yeah, I'm earning this big money, but then I don't have to fly away for the rest of my life.
100%. Yeah. So this is not for, if you're happy working your ass off and you have no desire to be smarter with your cash, don't bother even looking at property investment. It'd be too boring and you won't like it anyway. Fair enough?
Yeah, cool. Very cool.
Right. I don't want to carry on about me, guys. You're probably wondering why I think I'm qualified to teach on this topic. Very quick backstory about me. I've been helping investors for around 18 years, having been playing around in the property space for nearly 20. My first investment was at a little subdivision, just a couple of townhouses behind an old house that I renovated, sold all three properties, and paid half the profits in tax. Learned really quickly the smarter ways to do it, to make money without giving it all back in tax, and that shifting that tax back into my own portfolio would have compounded into huge wealth just from that one investment at the time. So I spent 12 years as a real estate agent. Half of this time, I was building my own business, which grew to nearly 900 rental properties in around 6 years. Bit of a record for regional growth, but the way we did it is by treating our landlords like investors. So instead of like just collecting rent, fixing leaky taps, I made sure people set goals around investing, and I'd go and sit down with them and help them expand their property portfolio. Massive win-win, obviously. You can look back now and see people that have massive portfolios as a direct result of that. And obviously, it's a win-win for us. We grew our rent roll very quickly by doing that.
What you doing there, Jess? Chucking the win-win in there?
That's right. That's exactly right. Baby number 6 came along, guys, and I had a bit of a wake-up call. Realised it was time to get out of the weekends and long nights and staff calling day and night. And it was time to focus on my family. So I founded Prosper in Property in 2018, which is more about helping people design a customized plan to get rid of stress and uncertainty and help them build a property portfolio. Fast forward to last year, about a year ago, I realized at one point most of my clients were in the mining industry, and they have a very common set of problems, and they have really powerful ways that they can build wealth and get out of the rat race a lot sooner than the average Aussie. So we kicked off property investment for miners, and now we help miners across Australia smash tax and build wealth.
Yeah.
So that's me. Sorry to crap on so long, but that's a bit of a backstory about who I am and where I'm coming from.
And it's actually, no, for me, Jesse, as well, like that's how I came across you because, obviously running the Facebook group, we've got a lot of people in there who are like, who are asking questions about, how do I get my tax down? And then next minute I find you and what you're doing is phenomenal. The results that I've seen is amazing. So that's why I got in contact with you to see if you could do this for us. So yeah.
Facebook tapped into your brain and could see what you're thinking about. So I put my
I'm pretty sure Siri can hear what I'm talking about anyway. That's why all this random stuff comes up on my computer and phone.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So guys, retirement in Australia. Let's look at what we've grown up thinking life and retirement is all about. Basically, it goes like this. So you get an education that you'll never use. You find a job that you probably hate. Buy a house, pay the bank double at least the house's value over the next 30 years. Work for 40, 50 years. Put money into super that you can't touch and have the government potentially borrow it. If I hear one more politician say, oh, we're not opposed to borrowing the superannuation, I'll freak out. They probably want to build more nuclear submarines. Who knows? Retire at 65, travel the world in a wheelchair in your old age.
Oh, Jesse, that's really putting it in a retirement.
Let's not beat around the bush. Let's be real here. This is the story. This is the myth. Let your kids throw you into a nursing home for a decade or two if you're lucky, while they squabble about who gets to keep the house.
Sounds great.
That's the plan. So if that is the plan, let's see how we're going with it. How's that working?
Sounds great, no?
Well, funny you should mention. Drastic measures are needed according to the ATO. 91% will not be able to fund their own retirement. So traditional retirement is very, very broken, and clearly we have to take things into our own hands because the myth is not going to unfold like it has for some baby boomers leading up to now. Now, of the very small amount, 8% will retire by selling their big family home and downsizing into a shoebox or renting. Hopefully, some of these people have enough house to last through retirement because it can be really, really painful to watch the money dwindle away as you head towards the end of your life. Those that need to sell property to rent so they can retire are in for a massive shock with rents at the moment rising higher than inflation. Inflationary rents are literally out of control across the country, and the government doesn't look like they're going to do anything anytime soon to help us produce more property, chuck in the cost of living increases, and we are up shit creek. It's not.
Basically it's more cost effective to buy a house these days than actually to rent it, isn't it?
In lots of situations, absolutely.
Yeah, I know in WA it's definitely the case. The rent over here is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, just depends on the location, obviously, but for your standard Aussie home, absolutely.
Yeah.
So look, the number one go-to for the 91% that aren't going to be able to afford it is going to be the pension, which is currently $28,000 a year. So those that can live on that may be able to opt into that. Don't want to get all conspiracy on you, but a lot of people believe that we have no hope of paying a fraction of the pensions that the baby boomers are about to unleash on the country. So it's fair to question how sustainable this is going to be.
Sorry, Jesse, I was just going to ask, what about like the fact that they keep pushing the retirement age back further and further, so people have to stay in the workplace? Like, how do you see that going in a couple of years, like let's say 10, 20 years from now? Probably going to be like, nah, the retirement age is 90 now.
Yeah, look, it kind of depends how long we can keep people alive for, doesn't it, in their older age? But certainly people are having to work longer and longer and longer. If 91% can't afford to retire, I guess the options are continue working or kind of moving with family and kind of get around it that way. But,
yeah, and with the homeless rates rising, you can see why, like the cost of living is just through the roof.
Vacancy rates, especially in Perth, 0.1% vacancy in some of these suburbs. Like we're producing property there with 40 to 70 applications, and they're offering well above the asking price for rents. Like absolutely crazy. So this is what this generation are up against to try and rent. Come up against FIFO workers who can afford $1,000 a week. It's not going to be easy.
Not pretty.
No. And as for paying off our home and using that for retirement, the average Aussie refinances their home every 4 to 6 years. I see different numbers, so I put a range to buy new cars and holidays and stuff that they want along the way. So that most won't pay it off anyway. So having that as an option in retirement probably isn't the case. I mean, it's not rocket science, but obviously you need to do a proper investment plan to be able to keep the new cars and the holidays going as you go along. Fair enough?
Yeah, and to cut out the jet ski buying.
Yeah, or just wrap it into a wise plan. You're still allowed to have a jet ski. That's the irony of it. You can still do it. You've just got to have the right structure and the right mindset and approach to it. So
yeah. I had a new client call us the other day, and his first thing was, I've just moved to Perth. Oh, I've got to save up for a jet ski because the weather over here is phenomenal. I was like, are you pulling the piss? I think it's being serious. So anyway.
It's like it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a thing to do.
It is. So I don't know how they come up with these numbers. Less than 1% will be financially free. I mean, One person might need 50K, the next person might need 500K before they call themselves that. But in any case, it's a minute amount of people who live their version of whatever financially free looks like. So, the ugly truth of the whole thing, 91% can't afford retirement. Overwhelming majority of retirement income is going to come from the pension. It's questionable that we're going to pay this pension liability, what that's going to look like, what sort of shape that pension scheme's going to take over the years. Super is barely beating inflation. So this really surprised me doing these numbers, and it surprised a lot of people. Salary sacrificing out of a high income into super is a brilliant strategy, but it's not what we think it is when you take into account everything. We don't get enough leverage out of the contributions to be able to accelerate and expand wealth. This really blew me away. 100K in 2007 is now worth 111K in 2023 in terms of real buying power, if you consider inflation and everything along the way. So
only that 100,000 was invested in Bitcoin back then.
Exactly right. God, you'd be a billionaire.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you'd be broke, but then you'd be a billionaire, but then you'd be broke. But
Yeah,
it's certainly be a lot more interesting anyway.
definitely.
Now, have a look in all fairness to these numbers, if you reinvest your dividends along the way, you would more than double that. But there's just not enough left over, and this is why people aren't retiring anymore. Right now in Australia, the average 60 to 69-year-old has got around 200K for retirement. So if you look at that, I mean, if you're lucky enough to be able to live on 50K per year, this is 4 years if you pull the balance. So not even near close enough. And we're not talking about having an amazing life and traveling the world. This is just surviving that we're talking about here. So what do people do that are taking this into their own hands? And what are they actually doing about it? 20% of Australian taxpayers are property investors. It's around 8% of the population. Australians love property, but only 2% of Australian taxpayers have more than one property, so other than their own home. Of those 20%, nearly 72% can only afford to have one, usually due to poor choices, not planning a proper portfolio strategy, and not aligning their purchases with their goals longer term. So it's just a hope and spray, buy whatever feels right just because it's there at the time. 18%, two properties. Not even 6% have three. 2% four, less than 1% five, and slightly more at 6 or more properties. Yeah, it's surprising because we all hear stories of people that have got a number of investment properties, but most people need to buy 5 plus over a period of time to end up with 3 fully paid for. And obviously people scale up and go into an acquisition mode where they go out and acquire property, then they go into a consolidation mode where they sell off, get debt out of the way, increase their income, and hold. And obviously for most Aussies, 3 unencumbered is a pretty good amount to get by on. This can take anywhere from 10 to 30 years, depending on how well it's done, depending on how well your planning and strategy is, and depending on your income. FIFO workers certainly can be looking to try and pull something like this off in a 10 or so year period, generally, if they've got the right team around them and they're doing the right stuff. So why do most people stop at one property? Usually they buy on emotion instead of based on a strategic plan. They don't buy properties that give them a large amount of depreciation. So they're just unable to continue borrowing because their serviceability doesn't account for the fact that there's some costs coming out of it.
For the
Um,
property virgins around here who might not know the lingo, hit us.
mm,
What's depreciation?
right. So depreciation is the bricks and the fittings and the windows and whatever goes down in value and can be written off against your tax. So this is the key to how we get rid of tax. Obviously, the property doesn't go down in value. So I call it phantom cash flow because whilst your bricks are being depreciated from $3 down to $1, and if you're the first owner and you've built the house or you bought it off plan or whatever it is, if you're the first owner, you get the whole property depreciating. So if you buy,
That is a tax deduction.
correct. So it shows up on a tax schedule. It's not it's not as easy as that because you've got lots of inputs and outputs. So think of it like a business that buys a printer and the printer gets depreciated, so it reduces your taxable income on whatever that business is making. You've got a printer, Alana, you know what I'm talking about.
I sure do.
Now, another thing they do wrong and why they stop at one, they buy locally instead of looking for the best market in the country. So, there's markets all over there's over 4,000 markets and there's always property going up and property going down. Most people have this sort of feeling that you need to be able to keep an eye on your investment. They buy on emotion in terms of they know that street, they know this street, they like the colour of the letterbox, they can drive past it and feel like they own the property. In the meantime, they're missing out on getting into markets that could have a 40% boom and more than double their wealth within a very quick time frame. There's always markets going up and down, so ignore the media meltdowns and the well-meaning family and friends that are trying to tell you it's about to crash. None of us have a crystal ball, but we do know when markets are at their bottom and have very little room to fall. And we know when the upside's a lot bigger than the downside. So we can follow population, government infrastructure, all of these things that are growth drivers. But if we're looking locally, we've just got the blinkers on. We don't get the opportunity to find those things.
Yeah. And you guys work all throughout Australia, don't you, to source the best property deals like everywhere?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so much Tasmania and Northern Territory lately. Not that I'm particularly opposed to it, but at the time of filming in the start of 24, we're not over there.
Yet. Give it time.
Yeah, that's right. They buy it in the wrong structure and have limiting financial structures. So their broker pulls off a vanilla product off the shelf. They put it in their personal name, even though that doesn't suit them in their particular situation, for example. And they're capped. They go, even though they've got equity, the borrowing structure's been done wrong and it takes time to be able to get out of that and expand into multiple properties. Probably the big killer is they buy property that costs them a fortune each week just to own it. So they simply just don't have borrowing power to get into more properties. So usually means they have to stay in a job that they probably don't like, just so they can afford to pay the bills and keep the property going. And on that note, like by doing things differently, we see properties that produce 10K, 20K, 30K, and more over and above the costs of owning it. So, I mean, obviously, if you're in that type of property, you can have 2, 3, 5, 10 of these, and your borrowing power and income just keeps improving over time.
Yeah.
So, why do miners love property? Save tax is the biggest one. It seems to be the number one motivator for my clients. They know they're paying too much and they know that they are able to divert some of it into their own wealth if they buy the right properties. They're just not sure exactly how it works or how it would apply to them. the higher the income, the more that this matters. And setting things up correctly while you're on a really high income completely changes your financial position and your ability to look at retirement. So most mining clients are in these brackets here, and they're just getting punished for the for their income above this level because they're just paying such a high level of tax out. I've thrown a little just an example of a cash model client here who was on 170. I thought that was a fair amount. FIFO average is 110 or something, according to most websites, which the people I deal with tend to be more up around here, sort of on average. But in this situation, he's got a tax saving of about just over 8 grand. And it's not, negatively geared each week. He's not putting money out of his own pocket. He's actually making a few dollars a week. I see that 12, 15, and see it a lot larger, but this is a nice, approachable sort of example that most people could probably relate to. The other reason they love it is, especially my FIFO clients, usually they're trying to look at how they can get out of FIFO over time to spend more time with family. So having a real plan, like with real numbers, measurable time frames, and knowing what the trigger points are as you go along, so you can expand the plan, and having a really clear idea of once we reach point X, we know that it's time to implement Y. That's what gives people purpose back into their work. Most don't mind the hard work, that's why they're there, but without knowing where you're going and why you're doing it, you can quickly burn out. This is sort of what I come across.
Yeah, and the amount of relationship breakdowns, you need to have a plan where you can still be earning good money, and if need be, FIFO is not going to ruin your relationship so you can go home again.
Yeah, and that's and sort of reading between the lines, that's what that does to the relationship as well, because
Yeah,
they know it's not just an endless, fly in, fly out. One day you're here, next you're not. Your partner knows why you're doing it and can see the light at the end of the tunnel and is engaged more in the process.
yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
They want to build wealth. This means different things to different people. For us, it's about helping miners keep some of the wealth that they're mining, instead of sending it all off to foreign entities. And, miners are generally down-to-earth people. They get real estate. They know that property will go in value over time, and they know that building wealth now will give them more options in the future. So building wealth is a common one. One that's less common that you wouldn't necessarily see in other industries, but in mining, flexible travel and living options is a really big driver when I start showing my mining clients things like this. Like this is a dual key property, for example. It gives them the ability to rent out one side and keep the other side for their R&R time. So having one in Perth and one in Southeast Queensland or whatever, Airbnb the small one, rent out the big one. It's the ultimate travel and keeping living expenses down. So a lot of people go for these, especially in Perth and Southeast Queensland.
Yeah, especially so they can go up to Bali for their R&R, potentially Airbnb it out, and then just come back next break whenever. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yep, 100%. So miners have a real opportunity to do something about it. Their income is in the top 5% in the world, Australian miners. Only 20% of Australians earn over 100K. Roughly 48% are living paycheck to paycheck. The average age of a first home buyer is now 36 years old. So, they've got a real opportunity to do something. Enter the Miners Road to Wealth blueprint.
Cool. So this is
So,
how people at home can go off and actually create wealth and save money on tax.
bingo.
Right.
Preamble to the side. Here's the guts and the actual stuff that you can implement. So this is how you turn all this around, get everything firing with a 5-step Miners Road to Wealth plan. First thing you need to do is sit down with your partner or by yourself, talk through things like your lifestyle goals, your financial goals, where you are now, where you want to go, what types of investment risk that you're comfortable with as a family. So, for example, like a lot of my miners want to get rid of the stress of working away from home for the tax man. They might want to end up with a plan to get out of FIFO within a certain period of time, and doing, so they can spend more time with family. So you need to set goals and timelines around this to bring comfort back into your FIFO life. You need to know where you're going and when you want to get there. You need to get really clear on what types of strategies are going to suit you based on that outcome, based on where you need to go. You always need to start planning with the end in mind and reverse engineer it back to today. And that basically will tell you what sort of properties you need to start thinking about. Choosing properties is easy if you've got a proper plan, you know what type of property you need. So right at the onset, you need to get your current properties valued. If you've got a home or two or three, get them all valued by multiple lenders. Any decent broker will be able to get 2 or 3 free pre-application valuations. I got one the other day. They range from 720 to 875 for the same property. Get multiple valuations. This is how we build wealth. We want to go with the lender that thinks it's 875, not with the one that thinks it's 720.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they do vary a lot. So once you've got, and sit down and take this seriously, guys. Get out a pen and paper, write a plan together as a family. Get on the same page and make sure that you really put meaning into it as a family.
Yeah, I think that stage is really, really important as well for, let's say, like my niece is 20 years old. She's just got her first FIFO job. She is now earning a lot of money. So reverse engineering that and actually having that solid plan, I think would be it'll give her something to work towards as well, because she's already talked about getting into property, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, what a great age to start, 20. I've got a lot of clients in 20s, and like a couple that are on property number 3 that I've helped them just quickly go bang, 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 and they're like, wow, by the time I'm 35, I'm done. So
and that's what I keep saying. That's what I wish I'd have done. I went out there like 2 weeks after I turned 18. And then next minute, like I was like, I had a break, went traveling and did whatever. Then I bought my first property at about 25, I think, and then it ended up selling it. Now it's worth like triple the amount. It's like, oh, God damn it, why did I do that? So, yeah, very important to do this.
Yeah, crazy. So once you're both on the same page, you get what the main accelerators are that you need to have in place. You can then look at specific strategies that will help meet the objective. So, for example, if tax is a major issue, you can do cash modeling on strategies that give you huge depreciation against your income. So, it's the numbers that bring all this to life. If you remove emotions and just focus on the numbers, and look at the different strategies side by side, you can easily see the impact that a strategy is going to have for you. So I know it looks a bit messy. That's our software. There's software that you can get that's quite easy. You can get the software and pump in all the numbers, and it'll show you annually, weekly, how the property is going to perform. But you can do it with a pen and paper with a calculator once you know how it works and you get how the
And what
numbers
you're
fall.
looking for, I suppose.
Yeah. So word of caution, guys, if you don't do this properly and you don't dig into the numbers, you automatically start making decisions based on emotions instead of logic and data, that's where we see people waste years of their life, and it keeps you underground for longer.
Yeah.
So once you've chosen the strategy that's best suited to your plan and your comfort levels, you can then look at emerging markets around the country. and start to shortlist properties that fit the strategy. So in the shortlisting process, do research on things like the demographics of the area, the employment, predominant type of employment, population growth, percentage of rental properties in the area. You can get all this stuff from websites like Census, Real Estate Investor, places like realestate.com and others have a lot of this stuff as well. But dig around and figure out who are the tenants there, what's their average income, what type of property do they want. A massive driver is going to be its position, the property's position within its own unique capital growth cycle. So, as we said, there's over 4,000 markets. They all move at different times. So you want to enter the market at the right time and chase the infrastructure. So things like new train lines, new hospitals, new universities, whatever that is, you want to see that there's massive upside coming. As an investor, we can be patient, we can position ourselves and get ready for the new amenity or the new train or whatever to hit, whereas the owner-occupier or the tenant doesn't need to. They'll wait till it's there, and they'll come in and pay a premium. Things like the Olympics and population growth in Brisbane is a classic example of this. So, finish your plan and implement. Once you've selected a property or properties, you can start making offers and try and make stuff happen. So if it's a second-hand property, always make sure you get a local building inspector to get it looked at, so you know if there's anything majorly wrong with it. If it's a new property, get your own independent quality assurance along the way. So someone's going in and looking at the different stages of construction to make sure you've got your own representation there on the ground. You don't need to be there. It's very easy to do it interstate. And new property is the way to go for interstate investments. Everything's under warranty. You get the best tenants in the market. You get the best rent. And as we said before, you need to be the first owner to get all the depreciation. So key part of your plan, look for opportunities for new property or build something yourself.
Yeah.
Once you've got a deal across the line, interview some property managers over the phone, get quotes on insurance, contact BMT to get a depreciation schedule, and serve your employer with a PAYG variation. So this form instructs your employer to take less tax from you each week so that you get all the tax benefits up front. So you literally clear more each week and pay less tax in real time. Not many people know this little trick, but you can download it off the ATO website. It's a PAYG variation. Once you've done all this, produce it as a document with everything in the same place. You've gone through all these steps. Make sure that it's in one document. It should cover everything that you've done and have timeframes in it for reviews, so that you know that once the property reaches X value or the rent equals X, that's the trigger for you to go off and expand and go into the next part of the plan. Finally, always do regular reviews of your portfolio. You need to be constantly checking the values, interest rates, insurance, rents. Make sure everything's working and being maximised along the way. Subtle little changes make a massive impact over time. So be really diligent with this, guys, and keep an eye on it. Make sure you've got a good accountant that really gets property, as they're going to have a big impact on how this works over time. When you do a review, pretty easy to jump online and see what other properties have been selling like that are similar. If you think it's had a really big kick in value, go and get a good broker to give you some free application valuations. As I said, it might range from 720 to 875, but if you're in at 7 and all of a sudden it's 875, bingo, that's your trigger, time to expand.
Yeah. Now let's get real, Jesse. This seems like a lot of work for a time poor FIFO worker. What's the easiest way for them to like put all this together, like buy the software, spend all this time? Like how much time on average would you spend, let's say, getting together the plan initially and then also like liaising with the builders and then, updating plans and stuff like that?
God, I would hate to think because I'm dealing with multiple people at the one time, so I get to sort out a lot of things within one conversation. But look, it might be upwards of 100 hours to take somebody through an entire process and then through a full construction and their financing and accounting and property manager at the end and all that kind of stuff. Having said that, it's very quick and easy for my clients. Obviously, I'm taking all that work on. For me to take someone through these 5 steps usually can be done across, say, 3 or 4 Zoom meetings. So it can be quite easy. And all of this stuff, obviously, we do for you. You'd think that you actually knew what was the next slide, because funny you should ask. How do you get property investment for minors to do it all? So, guys, for us to really help you and be worth your while exploring, you're going to need, as we said, around 100K in cash. Some can do it for 70, 80, or 150K in equity in your home. The reason this varies is because obviously it depends on other things like your income and other debts and stuff that you have. You need a fairly clean credit report, so nothing too drastic. You need minimal personal debt, so a credit card or two or car or two is generally fine. Just don't have 150K worth of car loans and small income because you'd be capped out. A good attitude, and you'll need to do a free Miners Road to Wealth strategy session with me so that we can have a look at your situation properly and see whether we can actually help.
Yeah. And to me, that sounds like the easier option, especially if you're working FIFO. You come back for your 1 week R&R, you've got limited time, you're going to do this, that, and the other. So, I mean, go through what's involved in your strategy session.
Sure. So you can book it now. There'll be a link somewhere in the comments, somewhere around this video, depending on where you're watching it. But it's a 45-minute Zoom session. We get to know your situation a bit. Because really what's important is that we show you how our 5-step plan would actually work for you in your personal situation. So that's what makes it come to life. You need to have your goals and life plan factored into it so that you can actually see how it would work. You come away with a clear direction on what your options are when it comes to investing. If we think we're a fit, if we think we can help, and then we can implement our plan for you. We do it for a one-off fee, and we can show you exactly how that works and relative pricing and everything on the call. So jump in this calendar somewhere near this video, email us at hello@propertyinvestmentforminers.com.au or call us on 1300 812298. And we'll be in touch. But you can just book your own time on the calendar and show up to Zoom according to that.
Yeah. And again, it's free. So if all of that seems like a too hard basket situation, which I know that I'd be like, yeah, nah, sitting down doing a budget, blah, blah, blah. I'd rather have somebody else to kind of like talk me through it, who knows exactly the right questions to ask and how to really drill down to get to what the goals are and how you can achieve them in a realistic way, and especially if you're a time poor miner like you, who's probably watching this right now at home. So, Jesse, any final last words on on this whole situation? It's pretty easy to book in. And what's your availability? I know you guys are absolutely smashed with work at the moment. A lot of FIFO workers wanting to not pay less tax, I guess.
It's going to vary. Click on the link and have a look. The available times will be there, so you can choose one. I will just say, please be respectful of our time as well. If you book a time, you have to change it. Give us some notice because we do have a lot of things coming and going, and it helps us obviously arrange our scheduling properly. But I guess, look, what I'd say is, to know for sure where you are and what your options are, it takes 45 minutes. You can give us a call and have a quick chat, but for us to get it meaningful and give you some real feedback on where you are and where what you can do, it takes us about 45 minutes. It is a free session. One thing I know for sure, people that I speak to, is if you wait another year, you'll wish you did it today. So just jump in there and organise it now.
Yeah, 100%. I wish I did it 23 years ago. Oh. Anyway, yeah, cool. All right, guys, it's free. Why not do it? Have you got 45 minutes on your R&R or even after work when you can have a chat to set yourself up to potentially save you decades of your time working away, flying away from your family and all that sort of stuff? Why not? It's free. So, Jessie, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. All the links are going to be underneath this or attached somewhere around this video. And feel free to just book in with him, have a chat, and yeah, lovely guy to chat to, I've got to say.
Unreal. And love having a chat and coming to visit you and your audience, Alana. So sing out anytime if we can help with anything.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jessie. And
Amazing.
finally, Jessie, I believe that you've got something for our One Job members. Is that correct?
I do. So this plan, guys, is $2,200 as a one-off fee. If you are a One Job member, we will do that for you at a 10% discount. So $1,800 plus GST as a one-off payment. We'll run you through this process.
Yeah. So that's only if after the 45-minute session you feel that it's right for you at home, and also Jessie feels that he can create an awesome plan that's going to help you to retire early. Is that right, Jessie? So no money goes through except after, if you do decide that you want to go down that track.
100%. Yeah, and the reason this is free is because I don't know if I can help you or not until we spend 45 minutes together to explore that together. So
yeah, 100%. So if you've got a whole lot of credit cards, you might not qualify. And again, have a look through this presentation again, see if you do qualify. He's written it all out there. So if you've got, let's say, 100K, or you can build a plan to get 100K, which is where win-win comes in, we can definitely help you to set yourself up now. The best time to set yourself up for retirement is the moment you get into the mining industry, right? You don't want to be that guy sitting at the wedding who's like 65 years old and he's been doing it for 30 plus years and has nothing to show for it except for 5 failed divorces and a new Thai bride. Hey, Jessie.
Free. Filipino.
Yeah. Anyway, moving right along. Hopefully you've enjoyed this One Job session, and feel free to get in contact with myself or my team if you need to help getting into your next or your first or next FIFO job. And of course, hit up Jessie to book in for that free 45-minute session. Jessie, thanks so much for your time today. And yeah, have a nice one. I'll chat to you soon.
Everyone take care.
Awesome. Thanks, eh?